Her family describe Amy Keria as a loving, warm, humorous teenager. At the same time, she had a history of complex mental health issues, Tourette's, ADHD, obsessive-compulsive disorder among them. At the age of 14, she was sectioned 100 miles away from home at the Priory's Ticehurst house in Sussex. 3 months later, in 2012, she was discovered dead in her room. From then on, her family sought justice, and yesterday an inquest jury found a catalogue of failures, delays and neglect lay behind the teenager's accidental death.
That's what I've said all along, that her death was avoidable. And I do feel that they made the right decision. I know 100% they made the right decision. The one thing I didn't want was suicide, because Amy wanted to live. She asked for support. She never got that support.
What emerged from the mountain of documents presented to the hearing was something far darker behind the walls of this privately run psychiatric hospital. Staff shortages, inadequate training, inadequate risk assessment and lack of care. One former member of staff told Channel 4 News Amy was on her own in a sad and dark corridor, neglected. On at least half a dozen occasions during her short stay, the 14-year-old was restrained and forcibly sedated.
They weren't just forced sedation, they were also restraints to the point where they forced sedated her, where they never contacted me before or after, only on one occasion, and they sedated her, and they also restrained her for like 35 minutes, 50 minutes. They'd take it in shifts of 4, and then 3 would restrain her.
On the November evening, Amy was found dying with her football scarf around her neck. The inquest jury decided staff delayed calling an ambulance, delayed contacting a doctor, delayed CPR, delayed getting emergency equipment, and it also found an inadequate emergency response and inadequate staff training. There was, the jury concluded, a real chance Amy would have survived but for those failings.
I am sad that no one else will get the privilege of having or knowing her. What a beautiful human being she was, even though the Priory never treated her like one.
It's taken 3.5 years for the Priory to say sorry. It said in a statement,
"We would like to offer an unreserved apology and our heartfelt sympathies to Amy's family. We will now review the findings of the inquest very carefully and consider whether further improvements can be made, including in relation to staffing, care plans and risk assessments."
For Amy's family, this was a battle until the very end, to try to get to the truth of how she was treated and how her warnings that she would harm herself went unheeded.
Deaths in mental health settings are not independently investigated, which means that trusts investigate themselves, in this case the Priory investigating itself. So there has to be urgent reform of the system, because when anybody dies in the care of a mental health setting, it needs independent public scrutiny.
The NHS sent Amy Keria to this Priory hospital at some expense, in the hope she would get the attention she so desperately needed. But as the inquest so clearly defined, she died because of failures, delays and neglect.